Hello, everybody. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. I hope you are all well. Uh, First of all, sorry for not putting up a video for so long, couple of days, but wasn't feeling really good. And whenever I don't feel myself at 100% to put up a video, I don't. Because as you can see, I often speak without any guides, any papers, any videos, any nothing. Uh, in the future, I might make some videos a bit different, but sometimes it's just like this, me here, you there, just like a couple of people, couple of guys, or guy and girl, whoever, just sitting in a coffee shop and talking. But why do I prefer it this way? Uh, because, as I said, my videos and all of that, I'm not really here to make money. No. If you want to make a channel to earn money, you can do it. Okay. These days, it is not that hard. Okay. And if you have the ability of speaking more than one language like I do, you can make it in different forms in different channels. The issue here is, of course, time. If you work all day like I do, even not feeling very well, but you have to work. If you work every day like I do, time becomes a commodity. All right, let's get on with the subject of the video. As you know, uh, Mr. Trump is trying to create every every little maneuver he's trying to create to distract people from a lot of questions that are arising both due to the Epstein question and due to the economy itself. Okay, you cannot fool someone for so long all the time. There will be a time even the dumbest of persons, unless they are madmen in a cult that will go to their deaths with their cult leader, like we have seen in history in so many forms. Unless you are that type of people, you one day or another you are going to wake up and smell the roses, like the Americans say. Okay, you will know, even the dumbest of persons, and a lot of dumb people are waking up and seeing the shit they did. They are seeing in whom they voted. They are seeing what is happening, and some are trying to justifying it, some are trying to ignore it, and some are outward angry about it. That anger is very dangerous. This is the first thing I'm going to say, because these type of people, when they are fooled, when their narratives suddenly become hollow, they are extremely dangerous. You should never underestimate the reaction of a person that has been fooled, because it hits people at an emotional level. You know, I have always tried to control your emotions, and to control your emotions, you don't abstain yourselves from them, from your emotions. You know the emotion is there, you try to understand it, and you try to react in a proper way to it. Meaning, if you feel anger, it's natural to feel anger. But then you should try to make a pause and digest that anger and see if it's is it really worth my time to get bothered by this? Of course, I'm not saying for you to react when someone is a bastard to you or something like that. No, no. It's the way you do it. The way is the path. And these people, they don't have that ability that most of the people that sometimes have issues with their reactions have. They don't. So they are going to react like attack dogs. Literally. You touch an attack dog and it immediately pounces. Okay? So this is the first problem he's going to have. And now, the second problem is reality sitting in empty containers, leaving the country, empty containers arriving at the country, ports with reduced traffic, ports with food that was meant to be exported rotting, yes, because things cannot last that long, ports that are not receiving goods that the United States will need, international trade diverting itself from the United States, international tourism diverting from the United States, political alliances diverting from the United States. It's a never-ending story, isn't it? And just some water. And the funniest thing, funny without being very funny, is that I think now some Americans are realizing that this is not something that is going to go away when Trump leaves. They have the full conscience, the full understanding that this will be a permanent feature in their lives. I'm not saying it won't improve. Of course it will. If you have a normal person in the White House, it will improve. But the bond and trust of the order after World War II not coming back. And I say this also to all my fellow Europeans in the EU, in the United Kingdom, everywhere. I tell you this, do not expect that old order to return. It won't. To some, it was a nice scapegoat to blame NATO for everything. Some in Europe are still doing it. Oh, NATO was expanding. This in regards to the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Oh, NATO was expanding because you see they are still some of them are still in that mentality of NATO versus the USSR. Instead of the USSR, they have Russia. They are comparing Russia to USSR. Russia is not the USSR. Russia is an autocratic dictatorship, and it's a further and further and furthermore with the strife inside of the country, it's becoming into a full-blown dictatorship that has nothing to do with USSR. USSR had a need, like it or don't like it. I personally do not like it, but the USSR had an ideology. There was a purpose behind it. Okay, when the ideology started to die because number one, it had too many flaws to work, and number two, people simply stopped liking it because it did not give them anything to their lives. Okay, it only brought them poverty and oppression. Okay, it was not the freedom of the workers or whatever. It was nothing like that. It was a dictatorship where some people in the higher echelons of the party had everything, and the bastards in the bottom had nothing except work and toil and shut up, or you're going to be shot or sent into a gulag. Okay, this is why it failed. Okay, we mustn't judge people so harshly. We must judge them as people and understand. But as I said, a lot of people still have this mentality. NATO in this side, and NATO is morphing into another type of military alliance where the United States is losing its role. And as I said this before in another video, I firmly believe that a future European army or alliance of several countries, military defense, that is going to replace NATO, at least in Europe. NATO will still continue to have its role in Southeast Asia, in Japan, in Korea, in Taiwan, in all of those places. NATO will still have a place there, has a military alliance, and also Europe with Canada. Okay, it will still have a role, but it will not have the current form it has now. For example, I will give you one small sentence. Trump, for example, he proposed to sell American weapons via NATO to Ukraine. And all the major players in NATO in Europe said no. France, Germany, and the UK will go along with them. Everyone said no. You want to know why? Because they don't want Americans sticking their dirty paws in our weapons procurement money. Okay? For example, the UK will be a part of that mechanism and it will pay his fair share to the budget. But UK, yes. And me personally, even with all the shit of Brexit and all of that, I agree. Because you see, the United Kingdom is in Europe. Even if they sometimes think they are not, they are. They are an island in Europe. But that is a subject for another video to understand that. But for another video. But as for the UK to participate financially into the budget and be a part of the weapon procurement at whatever level the Commission decides, my friend, no problem. No problem. I think it is even welcome. It's welcome. It's not just the UK that needs to give small steps into trying to recuperate what it had. We, as Europeans, also have a duty to lend them a hand when we can. I'm not saying to go back to the old dichotomy of them acting as the American puppet in Europe. No. But we need to normalize relations. And what Mr. Trump is doing now with all of this is that I am sure that maybe not him, but the people that are around him, they are seeing this. And they are trying to profit as much as they can before they are kicked out of office. And maybe in the middle of all those people, there are some people that are actually worried about what is happening. Vance is not one of them. Vance does not understand and hates Europe. Vance is the type of guy that believes that the United States of America when NATO was defending Europe and uh, sending all the weapons and all of that, when in fact the United States of America was selling weapons to NATO. All of those NATO countries, okay, the United States was selling those weapons. And the nukes, the United States always wanted to keep control over them. They didn't want Germany to have nukes. If they could, they would have stopped France from having nukes. And in the UK, there are even serious doubts if the United Kingdom actually controls all the warheads they have. There's an issue of coding or whatever in which someone in Washington can press a button and kill the British nukes. They won't work. But since this is just a rumor and I have no proof about it, okay, this is just talks, I will say take it with a pinch of salt. The fact here is this: whoever comes after Trump won't be better than him. If it's a Democrat, then they will try to repair relations and all that. And there will be a lot of nice words and all of that, but they are not going to break the economical relations that we are creating now to go back into to trade with the United States. Okay, and all of this situation also is going to seriously devalue the dollar. It's already happening as we speak. This will inhibit the capability of the United States of selling their debt and financing themselves in the markets. This will create a series of things. And then people talk about all those conspiracies that are not conspiracies, but they are giving them too much credit, like the Heritage Foundation and all of that. Okay, look, we know they exist, but them as Trump are a symptom of a disease inside the American society. And that a disease that also exists in Europe, continental Europe, United Kingdom, it exists. The issue here is that we have a stronger system, and I'm talking about the EU. The UK unfortunately does not have it, of checks and balances. If we did not have this system in almost all European countries, Hungary is an exception for obvious reasons, because that fat idiot is still there. But we have a very strong system of checks and balances. This means there is always a lot of eyes on the money. And all those eyes in the money, because they are interested in it, means that no other voice is going to get all the money. It's crude, it's rude, but it works. Okay? I'll give you an example. It's just like water quality here. Well, there is a national laboratory to do that, but city halls also can send it to the labs to test the water quality. Environmental agencies and groups and whatever, they also can do it. Private citizens, they also can do it. EU at the international level, EU national agencies, they all can do it. And some people will say, well, this is meaningless bureaucracy. Why there's no one single institution to do this? Because that single institution can be corrupted. But it will be very hard to corrupt three or four. Divide to conquer. In this case, sorry, democracy wins. Look, uh, people say democracy doesn't work. The parties are all the same. That is not correct because parties can come and go. But if you have in place systems, preemptive systems, it will be very hard for it to happen. Of course, it can happen. Look, a madman can march with a bunch of tanks into Lisbon tomorrow and install a dictatorship or whatever, or in Spain or even in Europe itself. It can happen, but it can happen anywhere because this is human history. Human history is like this. Okay, well, it's not always stable. The best we can do is try to keep it more or less stable. As for the rest, utopias don't exist. Utopias and dystopias do not exist. They are just extremes. Because the notion of what an utopia is and what a dystopia is will vary according to the person that is interpreting it. For example, for me, modern cities are a bloody dystopia. I don't like them. And I'm forced to live in one. Forced by what? Economics? Need? No. The doctors are here. The food is here. The job is here. I have to be here. I would be much happier living in a cabin in a house in the middle of the woods. But I would need things. And some people say, oh, it's easy to go off the grid. No, it's not. If you have family to take care of, if you have your own problems to take care of, no, it's not. It's not. This is why human societies were created. And this is why human beings are gregarious. And that is it. But going back to the Trump issue, now all of this that he's doing, now he's accusing Obama of all of attempted coup and making AI videos of him being arrested. I mean, it's completely deranged. But he's only doing this to try and divert from what is happening. And it's not just the Epstein files. It's not just that. Because I don't know about you, but even I saw videos of Mr. Trump with Epstein and with girls. Don't know their age, but they're fairly young. And these were what? Men in their 40s or something like that. Men in their 40s with 17-year-old girls, 16-year-old girls. I don't think that is very proper. Do you? As a man? For example, if you're a man and you're listening to me, do you think that is proper? Or is that disgusting? To me, it's disgusting. Personally, to me, it's disgusting. But people knew this, okay? The key issue here is this. This was known. And these files, they were buried, so to speak, because this did not affect only the current president of the United States. A lot of other famous people surely are there. Maybe some of them did not even know what the hell was happening. They were just in some party, and in the part of the in some place in the party there were some young girls walking around with older guys. I don't know. You understand what I'm trying to tell you? I don't know what the hell happened. And the issue here is that now the people want those files to be released. But the fact that those files are released, does that change the fact that everyone knows that Trump was a friend of the guy? that he invited him for his I think he invited him for his marriage with that other, yeah, the model that he dated, something Maples or whatever. Does that change that fact? Does that change the fact that they appeared in newspapers and those just set bullshit pink magazines as friends and going to parties and whatever? Does that change that fact? People already knew who he was. People heard how he talked about women. You have to keep an eye on men, because you see, if two men are together and a woman passes by, she, and she's fine, let's say it like this, they will comment amongst themselves. They will say something like that. Look at that ass, or something like that. She's really good. Okay, this is normal human behavior. This is male behavior. Women do the same bloody thing. Okay, this is normal. Is it proper? Is it correct? Well, not very much. But does it happen? Yes. That would be normal. But when someone talks the way he does and says the way he says it and does it the way he does it, and then denies it because he knows or he thinks he did something wrong or whatever, something is wrong. Something is very wrong. Because, you see, if I was with a friend and a girl passes by and she's very beautiful, and we comment that on amongst ourselves, even if I was dating with someone and she was asking, what the hell were you talking about? Of course, depending on the context, I might not tell her, look, we were just talking. But if she was next to me and he said something and I answered back, maybe she would be a bit annoyed with me, but I would not hide it because I would not be doing anything wrong. It would be wrong in the sense that when you are with someone, okay, she, she might not like it, okay, and if you like her, you will try to do not to do things or say things that might hurt her. It is also normal human behavior, but it would not be something hidden, something dirty, something potentially bad. And when people start to have these type of speeches like he does, and speaking in the way he does, that shows me that number one, there's a lot of insecurity there. Because people that brag a lot, usually they are nothing. You know, my first teacher of relationships was my grandfather. And he said me something that was very mm, machista, very prosaic, but that it held in it a lot of truth. And he said, he who eats and shut up eats again. What was he teaching me? He was teaching me that whatever happens between you and a woman stays between you and the woman. You don't go around bragging about it. You shut the fuck up. Don't do that because it's stupid for you and it's disrespectful for the woman. Look, I'm not talking about something like, for example, you are with a friend and he says, "Oh, you're dating so and so on. How is it? Blah blah blah." And you can say, "She's a nice girl. I like her." Something like this is perfectly acceptable. But when you start to talking about things like he says, like you have to grab a woman by the vagina or whatever, yeah, that's disgusting. That is not normal. But what I'm seeing is that he has this pattern of distractions. He creates these distractions so that whenever he fails, inevitably, like any human being, we all fail. I failed, you fail, okay? Your parents failed, okay? Everyone, everybody human has a failure in their lives because it's normal. Because if you are doing something, if you are trying, if you are acting in a certain way, you are going to have failures. The issue is, do you how do you react to them? Most of us say, for example, say sorry and continue, or try to avoid to do it again. And people that are narcissists, they are unable to do that. They are unable to accept that they have committed an error. It's the same with Brexit. Brexit was a narcissistic act by some people in England. And will say England because they were the ones that were the majority of the voters that led to the exit. Okay? But they are unable to do that. So what do? They attack others as a reaction. They create distractions. They say things completely out of the context of what is happening. They do everything. They even normalize saying a lie with so much conviction. They themselves think it's true. They themselves think it's true. Some of these people that you see that go into streams, that go into chats, and try to attack everyone that is talking bad about their god, their ideal, their ideology. All of these people are narcissists because they are unable to cope with the failure, to cope with the fact that, for example, in the world there will always be someone that doesn't like you. In the world there will be always someone that will do something just for the kicks of doing it. What are you going to do about it? You cannot control it. So what can you do? Know how to react to it properly. For example, if a person starts to see this and sees that that elected vote, that person that wants to be elected president already has all of these issues. Oh, but he's seeing some things that I like. I might give him a chance. No, then you are not learning now anything because he already did it. He's going to do it again. Look, that saying in English that I find absolutely lovely, but that sums up all of this. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Simple as this, okay? And you might ask me now what is going to happen? This is all going to return. There are rumors, sustained, substantiated, that his health is declining quickly. So he might be replaced by Vance. I don't know which one is worse. Trump with his deranged rants or Vance with his certainty in his stupidity. I honestly don't know who is worse. If you ask me personally, I would say Vance is much dangerous. Because look, Trump is going around telling his shit and committing acts that he should not commit, tanking the economy with his buffoonery. But there isn't really a purpose there except making money, which is what he has been doing. But as for Vance, that is his zealot. And as you know, he went to see Murdoch. That allegedly is a part of that Heritage Foundation. Why was he there? There is no there is no fire without some smoke. There was a reason, but what reason was it? Did he went there to ask for for this the attacks the Wall Street Journal is doing on Mr. Trump to cease? Was he there to talk about that? Was he there to talk about something else? Who knows? But the key issue is here is who cares? Because things will come to an end. And will they release the files? I don't know. But frankly, I don't care because just the fact of all that is being done to cover it up means something. And because these are things we already knew. Look, if I'm sitting here in Portugal, okay, talking with you, and I saw this in the bloody news, and even in those uh, pink document, and not document, the pink shows and whatever, when they used to talk about it, and he was always there. Look, and then some people say, oh, for example, you are invited to a party and he's there and blah blah blah. Look, I said this. Maybe someone was just there, saw that, thought it was a bit odd, but had nothing to do with it. But the issue here is that he was actively having that person in his life. The person was in his marriage. He was in parties with that person, accompanied by girls. Okay, he wasn't just there having a sip, a drink with his a wife or whatever, and watching what was happening. No, at least from the pictures and the videos and whatever. There's a lot of stuff online. You just have to look at, and they are not AI generated. They are not deep fakes. They're not nothing like that. Because at the time you saw those pictures, even here in Europe, where they sometimes talked about it. It was all over the pink, the pink. I call them the pink magazines. It's common knowledge. It's also common knowledge of Mr. Trump's behavior. Okay? And people are still waiting for this file, at least in the United States, as some kind of holy grail that will prove whatever. I'm just look. I'm looking right now to my browser. There's a recommendation here of they are talking about it. You don't need the Epstein files to prove what you are trying to prove. There was a woman that came out and said that there were case files in court that were paid off to drop the case files, which is why here in normal land, in the EU, you cannot do those types of settlements with criminal charges. Criminal charges are go to court. There is no funny business. And even civil matters, when they solve them in the court, okay, it has rules. But in the United States, you have money, you do whatever the fuck you want. And this is why they are in the situation they are. But that would that will also be a long video that I might try to do. I have a couple of projects here. I just wish I wasn't so tired. Let's see. Now, I hoped you liked the video. I know it was a bit longer. I started ranting as always. Uh, Thank you for listening to me, and I hope you at least get something useful out of this video.